welcome to Mr. Randy's Wine and Spirits. I am Mr. Randy, and we're here today for another full review episode. Today's full review episode is going to be showcasing the Old Smuggler, the blended Scotch whiskey. This is also inside of the Revisited series I've been doing, where I've gone back. I've went back to some of these Scotch. We're only focusing on Scotch. I'm pretty sure I'm going to move over to whiskeys and bourbons and Irish and whatnot, and we'll move on. Eventually we'll probably get around to gin. We'll probably do gin more than we do other things, but we're going back. We're looking back at these very first bottles of Scotch that I had started when I started my channel back in early to mid 2025. Some of these bottles I felt like got a little bit of a bad shake, like it dealt a bad hand when it comes to my reviews and whatnot. One of the parameters I've placed upon this series is I want each of these bottles to be roughly about $20. And originally, the first half of the bottle I didn't quite like, or at least in the sense, by the time I got to the second half, things changed. I really changed my mind about it, and I wanted to go back after now about roughly a year. And now that my palate has been refined, my knowledge has also been increased, I've experienced it. And on the second half of the bottle, I felt different than the first half. I wanted to go out and try it again. Was it the whiskey or was it Mr. Randy? If you're new to the channel, hello and welcome. Come on in. Good times, a few laughs, some good information. All my returning viewers, you know it's a grab bag. You know you'll never know what you're going to get when you tune in and watch a video on Mr. Randy's Wine and Spirits. So let's go ahead and do the rundown for all the new people. Mr. Randy does a 3-part series when he does a review for a whiskey, wine, libations of sorts. First part, off the rip, get it home, crack it open, pour it in a glass, have my first pour, have my first impressions, and share them with you because sharing is caring. Episode number 2, all the way, well, in the ish area, this is the ish zone. I'm going to stop, leave what's left in there to sit for a week, maybe 2 weeks, depending on scheduling. Then we're going to go on the internet, find as much and or as little as possible. It's mostly little, you know, yeah, it's poor. Then we're going to try it. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to score it, and then we'll move on to part 3. All the way down here, final pour, episode 3. The final pour, thusly named. We have the final pour. We compare it to the first pour and everything in between. So this is the Old Smuggler. Scotch with a history. And I'm going to share that history with you because I dug deep and I struck gold. So this is blended Scotch whiskey, product of Scotland. It's imported and then bottled by Shawross International Imports, Miramar, Floridian. So it is 40% alcohol by volume. There's nothing on the back. Try to see if there's anything worth seeing besides that government information. We don't need all that. So let's go ahead and get the pour on while we continue to talk about it. So, Mr. Randy does pay, this is a liter, correct? No, this is 750. So this bottle, I'm gonna put the cap back on. This bottle is the 750. It also does come in the 1.75 liter handle. Now here's a little kicker for you. This is the 750. In my area, about regular for me is about $15 out the door for this bottle. Guess how much more the 1.75 liter costs? $5. $5. This one's 15. The 2.3 times the size of this is only $5 more. I had the big one. Actually, this is my second bottle of the 750, and my first bottle I do believe was a 1.75. Let's go ahead and start working on this as we continue to speak about it. So this is a mixing of over 40 different whiskeys that containing of malt and grains. It comes from regions of Highland, Lowland, and even Islay. I guess I can get a little bit of Islay out of this. So now there's this Uskaba. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Ushaba or Ukaba, Ushkaba. Anyway, it's Gaelic. Have a rough time with that sometimes, but you know, it means whiskey. That's what the translation comes to in English, whiskey. It's also, I think, what is it in French or Italian? The Vita Aquae, Aqua Vita, the water of life. It's all the same thing. So we have 1835, which the old Smuggler, as you see before you today, was established in 1835. In the early 1800s, the Scottish Parliament, a part of Great Britain, tried to like do a prohibition, and they kept increasing taxes upon the manufacturers of whiskey. It's got a very sweet, deep, mellow nose. I get apples, honey, pear. The toffee and caramel that was very prominent off the rip has now sort of subdued. It's sort of blended in with everything else. So in the early 1800s, when taxation was going mad crazy over whiskey, what did you get? You got smugglers. You got people who would start producing hooch in their barns, out in bothies, completely away from any kind of government eyeballs. And what they would do is they would start smuggling their hooch. And they had these pirates and these smugglers, and they would come together, and I would bring my bottle, you would bring your bottle, and we would mix our bottles together, and we would make such a wonderful, you know, a collaboration of a whiskey. That's why it is currently with over 40 different whiskeys that make up this blend. So let's go ahead and get that first pallet on. You know how we got to get that first pallet out of the way so we can get to the real truth of the matter. I meant to say spirit, but matter came out first. Real truth of the spirit. So just like the Cutty Sark, that ship, that name of the ship, the Cutty Sark, it was an old cutter, and it was fast. So of course smugglers used fast ships, just like in the 80s, cocaine was brought over or up by really fast boats. Really fast boats. Smuggling, sometimes it's what you have to do. You know, we're not talking about the narcotics. We're talking about accepted libations. On the palate, it's really smooth. It's relatively rich. So let me get that. Let me give you a proper roll here. That's not, it's very dry here right now. So that might be affecting how well you get these legs come up. You can see a little bit of there. So it's not bad. It's got some pretty good viscosity. It comes out relatively well every now and then. It's really nice. You see that? It's got pretty good viscosity. Transfers very well in the mouth. You get a nice oily feeling. It's not over oily. It's relatively nice. It does help carry a lot of these flavor profiles that you're getting on the palate. You're getting toffee, caramel, honey, yes. Some people say sugar cookie. Let me see if I can get sugar cookie. No. Buttery biscuit. Maybe some of that buttery biscuit sense is coming from like that sweet apple, vanilla, caramel, honey, toffee mixture. It kind of comes off as a sugar cookie. I'm not getting sugar cookie. I get apple, sure. Vanilla, spice, oh yes, all that's there. Let's go ahead and get, I think one more. 1835. Established in 1835, as you see there. Started way back in, what was it, 1644. I don't know why it just turned off. I didn't tell you to turn off. Here we go. Back in the game. Here we go. So the old Smuggler, was basically a combination. It's a tribute. There's it is. Old Smuggler, what you see before you today, is a tribute to what it once was. What men once did back in the days in order to keep things pure, to keep things alive. Instead of being heavily regulated by the government, they went to smuggling. I love the fact that 40 different whiskeys came together. They brought their whiskeys together, we blended it together, and then we split it and went our ways, and it became a communal type of thing. We had our own, they had their own brand, and it was a blending of all the different whiskeys from all the different areas where these pirates and these smugglers came from. They would bring them together, they would mix them, and they would go back and would share them. And the more people that got to come together, the deeper, richer that blend would become. So let's go ahead and get that finish on. It is really, really light, really mellow, a little too smooth. It does sort of hinge on that sickly sweet kind of character. I think this would be good for every once in a while. And you know, I have not tried this, mixed it with ginger ale, but I'm going to try mixing it with ginger ale, maybe some tonic water. I know, excuse me, some whiskeys and some scotch can pair really well with tonic water. And some, only a few of them pair really well with the ginger ale. I'm going to try both. And when I do so, I'm going to see you back here on the final pour and tell you how that shakes out. So let's move on. The finish is very light, very mellow. There's not a whole lot of action going on here, but the heat building up in the background. It's a good solid 2.5-ish on the intensity. It's not overwhelming. It's warm and comforting. It's like you just drank something good. Like it's objective. I understand that. I've had a lot of people crap on the Old Smuggler. That's fine. It's not for everyone. The gums are now surprisingly getting a little bit numb. Not as much action on tongue. Not a whole lot going on the cheeks. A little bit of numbness on the gums and the heat on the back end. Very light, very mellow finish. So now we're coming up on 13 minutes, so let's wrap this up, shall we? My score on this is going to be a weak 3 out of 5. I believe it lacks complexity, but it is what it is. It's a very inexpensive, massively blended scotch. Great story behind it. There's a lot of things we could dig deeper into. May not fare a better light on this bottle, but on the surface, what we get, I think, is acceptable. I think it's nice. So my score, I'm going to give it a weak 3 out of 5. I think it earns it. I think it could be better. I love the transparency. I love the story that comes behind it. The homage. My fair price, I'm going to say it probably a little overpriced for what it is. I think a little bit less would be a more fair price point. It would make you feel like you're getting a better deal. I think the price point is a little high. Just on an aesthetics kind of point of view. If you look at it, you see this bottle, it's only $15 for this bottle, $20 for the big old juggo juice. And I think that's one of the biggest things that they sell. It's hard to find the 750s. It's so easy to find the jugs here. Everywhere there's 1.75 liters. My fair price, I'd say it's just slightly overpriced. I think it would sell better if it was a lower price point, but that's their business. Moving on. Would I buy this again? Like I said, this is my third bottle. I might not be buying this bottle again, probably till 2027, and we'll do this whole revisiting series again. And we'll just make that a reoccurring thing, a regular reoccurring thing. Every year, we try the same bottles again and see if there's any change. Did we change, or did what's in the bottle change? Well, there it is. Coming up on 15 minutes. Let me know what you think about Old Smuggler in the comments. And as always, thanks for stopping by here at Mr. Randy's Wine and Spirits. I'll say it's an okay one.